Till Death Do Us Part begins with Nancy and her boyfriend going on a very fancy date. Ned talks about Nancy in the future, then he asks her to marry him. Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review. Oh, okay, I'm calm now. Nancy loves Ned, but she's only 18. She's not ready to make a big commitment right now, so she turns down Ned's proposal. Believe it or not, 50 books from now, a guy named Mick proposes to Nancy, and she uses the exact same commitment excuse to turn him down. Nancy Drew, she's got commitment issues. Ned is surprisingly okay with the rejection, almost like he doesn't have a personality. Nancy gets suspicious because any guy who she turns down should be heartbroken. She starts interrogating Ned about his feelings, causing him to snap at her and bail as soon as possible. The next day, Nancy sees Ned getting really close to an attractive woman. The woman introduces herself as Jessica Thorne, Ned's fiancée. That's right, Ned proposed to another woman less than a day after Nancy turned him down. The romance drama here is off the charts! In private, Ned confesses that his engagement to Jessica is a sham. Jessica is an evil, scheming woman who showed up in town 2 months ago. Her only goal in life is to marry Ned, which is incredibly suspicious since no normal woman would want that. Ned decided the best way to figure out Jessica's hidden agenda is to go along with her fake wedding plans. As for proposing to Nancy first, well, Ned promised himself that Nancy would be the first girl he'd ever propose to, and he didn't want to break that promise. Aw, how sweet. I like how he put the qualifier first girl he'd propose to in there. It's like he knew he would be turned down. A week later, Nancy attends Jessica's bridal shower. What's more unrealistic, a bridal shower after only a week, or the bride inviting the groom's ex-girlfriend? Instead of investigating or something, Nancy takes cheap shots at Jessica during the bridal shower, and she completely overreacts when she learns there are olives on Ned's sandwich. Not olives! Ah! No more screaming. Another week later, Nancy and Ned secretly meet each other in the mall. Ned overheard a suspicious phone conversation between Jessica and a mystery person. She tells him the plan is working well and she'll get the money soon. Interesting. Either Jessica has an angry creditor or an accomplice. Sadly, I have to give Jessica's possible accomplice the drop subplot award since this is the only time they get mentioned. Instead, Nancy and Ned decide to make out in public. Because it's been 2 weeks since they last got to make out, 1980s Nancy Drew can't go that long without kissing someone. That's why she meets a super hot guy pretty much every book. Jessica walks in on Nancy and Ned, and a big fight ensues. Jessica tells Nancy off for being a jealous ex-girlfriend, and she pushes Nancy into a fountain. Once again, the romance drama is off the charts. I love it. 2 hours later, Nancy and Jessica are both flying planes at the airport. Jessica apologizes to Nancy and offers to go skydiving with her to make it up. Sorry I physically attacked you earlier. Let's do something dangerous and reckless together. That will prove I'm a nice person. Naturally, Nancy's parachute is sabotaged and she almost dies. Jessica swoops in with 2 seconds left and saves Nancy's life, because almost killing people is how Jessica gets her thrills. That's almost as bad as Nancy's inability to recognize obvious traps. Okay, this book has been more fun than a barrel of monkeys so far, but it's time for Nancy to finally start investigating something. So she searches Jessica's hotel room and gets copies of Jessica's documents. She goes to Jessica's former address, something she should have done weeks ago, and she gets Jessica's entire backstory. Jessica is married to Scott O'Malley, a man who Nancy judges as 75% Ned on the hunk meter. Scott just inherited a ton of money from his aunt. Jessica needs to kill him to get her hands on the money. But she can't kill Scott because she doesn't know where he is. So she found a lookalike, Ned. Yes, that's the crime here. Jessica's going to kill Ned and pretend that the dead body belongs to her husband. That's why she wanted Ned to propose to her. His corpse needs to have a wedding ring on it. Apparently, Jessica doesn't know of any other ways to get rings on people's fingers. Jessica drugs Ned with sleeping pills and forces him on an airplane. She sets the airplane to crash and jumps out in a parachute. Don't worry though, Ned is still alive. Thanks to Nancy's warning, Ned only pretended to take sleeping pills and fall unconscious. Ned lands the plane safely, and Jessica is arrested. Ned decides he's had enough of marriage to last him a long time, which means no wedding books are in Nancy's future. Oh, sad ending. Post-book follow-up. This book is very different from the rest of the series in that there are no suspects whatsoever. We know pretty much from the start that Jessica is the culprit, and the mystery is figuring out what her plan is. Another big difference, Ned is the main detective on this case, not Nancy. That's actually a minor problem because the narrative focuses on Nancy. The book just skips over the first 2 weeks of the engagement because Nancy isn't around to see it. It might have been better if we switched to having Ned as the main character and see what he's doing with Jessica. Or maybe Ned and Nancy could have alternated chapters. It could have worked. One interesting scene that caught my eye was when Jessica entered Nancy's bedroom and saw some files. Like the literal Nancy Drew files. Why haven't those files been mentioned in any book before in this series? Overall, this is a great book. The love drama is off the charts, and unlike Book 8, it's not just a cheap gimmick to sell books, it's actually central to the story. I liked seeing Ned stand up and become a main character, and he proposed to Nancy Drew, finally! Even if it was only part of a case, that was great to see. I give Nancy Drew Files 24, Till Death Do Us Part, a 10 out of 10.